जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा कुंज बिहारी राधा कुंज बिहारी राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बालदेवा मयि सुभद्रा जय श्रीनाथ जी जय बालगोपाल जय श्रीनाथ जी जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गौरनीता जय गौरनीता जय गौरनीता जय गौरनीता जय जय प्रभुपा 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 जय जय प्रभुपा जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीमुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, The son of Drona punished. Text 56. विमुच्य रशनाबद्धं बालहत्या हताप्रभं तेजसा मणिनाहीनं शिबिरं निरयापयात् विमुच्यात्रशनाबद्धं बालहत्या हताप्रभं तेजसा मणिनाहीनं शिबिरान् निरयापयात् विमुच्यारशनाबद्धं बालहत्या हताप्रभं तेजसा मणिनाहीनं शिबिरान् निरयापयात् विमुच्यारशनाबद्धं बालहत्याहतप्रभं तेजसा मणिनाहीनं शिबिरान् निरयापयात् विमुच्यारशनाबद्धं बालहत्याहतप्रभं तेजसा मणिनाहीनं शिबिरान् निरयापयात् Vimuchya, after releasing him. Rachanabaddham, from the bondage of ropes. Balahatya, infanticide. Hataprabham, loss of bodily luster. Tejasa, of strength, of Manina, by the jewel. Hinam, being deprived of. Shibirat, from the camp. Nirayapayat, drove him out. He, Ashwatthama, had always lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus was unbound and driven out of the camp. He, Ashwatthama, had already lost his bodily luster due to infanticide, and now, moreover, having lost the jewel from his head, he lost even more strength. Thus, he was unbound and driven out of the camp. Translation and purport. By His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is a very small purport. Thus, being insulted, the humiliated Ashwatthama was simultaneously killed and not killed by the intelligence of Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swampadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Raghunata Shri Vishatkan विशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपाकमहं तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनं परमानन्दमाधवं। Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity for Shrimadbhagavatam class. This was very unexpected. I'm going to just say whatever I can recollect from Vaishnavas and Acharyas for my own purification and the pleasure of devotees and the deities. So we are in first canto Bhagavatam, the chapter Son of Drona Punished. So this chapter we are still connecting with the beginning of Shrimadbhagavatam, where Shukadeva Goswami starts to narrate Shrimadbhagavatam. So this is more like an introduction to that, how Shukadeva Goswami, to introduce Parikshit prior to the introduction of Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami. So we are connected from the end of Srimad Mahabharata to the chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this chapter, we are seeing how Ashwatthama, Drona's son, was punished. So the context is that Ashwatthama gets extremely disturbed with Duryodhana's words when he gets very agitated after seeing a lot of defeat. And then one night when Pandavas are away, he goes and kills the sons of Pandava. So, which is almost considered like an infanticide. Infanticide is considered as one of the greatest sins one can commit. Ashwatthama was a Brahmabandhu or Brahmana's son. So, Brahmana is supposed to have certain qualities in order to get the qualification to be termed as Brahmana. So Ashwatthama breaks these rules to the extreme end. And in this chapter, we are seeing the context as to how he is dealt with. And from this, what can we take home is what we are going to discuss. So the context is that, the Ashwatthama killed these children of Pandavas, and Draupadi, having lost all her children, she was extremely disturbed. And even in the material world, today's world, a small pain that comes to us is extremely big. But when it happens to our children, it's even bigger. And we can imagine, parents go out and they come back and find out all their children are killed. This is an extreme end of pain. And a woman dealing with that it's very harsh. However, Draupadi being a devotee, devotees have this quality of forgiveness. That is the biggest quality a devotee displays. Humility and tolerance are the two big qualities that we are always asked to cultivate. So Draupadi displayed her quality of forgiveness in saying that she did not want to go through what if Ashwatthama were to be killed, she didn't want to go through the pain that Ashwatthama's mother would go through. So she asks Bhima to forgive. Bhima was about to almost kill Ashwatthama. She stops him, and also Arjuna, and then she asks them to forgive. So in that she displayed the quality of a devotee of forgiveness. Now, its term, however, Shastras display, the Shastras, Vedic Shastras, they give us the means to live this life. This life comes with ups and downs. So, there will be times when we are victimized. There will be times when we have power. So, how do we deal with these two extreme ends is what we can learn from this chapter. So, in this context, Draupadi and the Pandavas were extremely victimized, they were through the highest pain that anybody can imagine. And now, so how do they come out of that victim situation, and what qualities of a devotee can we learn from this is what we are going to see. Draupadi asks Arjuna to forgive. So that's on one side. But on the other side, Arjuna is a warrior, Kshatriya. He also follows the qualities, Vedic qualities. And this was the first time, one of the very few times that Krishna gets angry. We don't see in the entire Mahabharata that Krishna ever gets angry. This is one of the contexts. There are two times when Krishna gets angry. One is when Pandava's sons are killed by Ashwatthama. The second time is when Bhishma, Bhishma wants him to get angry so Bhishma can end his life. So those are the two contexts. And this was one time when Krishna gets angry, and Krishna also pushes some punishment for Arjuna. So now Arjuna is caught between the rules of scriptures and his dharma, and also what needs to be done for somebody that's an aggressor. So Vedic scriptures talk about two extreme contradictory things here. So an aggressor has to be punished according to Vedic scripture. But on the other hand, an aggressor should not be punished if they do not have any weapons. So we see this context multiple times in Mahabharata too, where there are situations where when weapons are kept away, they are pardoned, and there are also situations where we see that the context is used to kill. So that was the role of Krishna, where he navigated different situations. Some things were evaded, some things were not. So this is the context, similar context here. And the contradiction was that he also had to punish, because infanticide is the highest sin, and as a Kshatriya, his role is to maintain law and order, and that was the very reason why he was fighting this battle. So he has two contradictory situations here, and on the top of it, Draupadi also makes him promise that he's not going to kill Ashwatthama. So how does he deal with this situation? So Ashwatthama, so he removed in the previous verse, we see that his hair and jewel from the head of Ashwatthama was removed. So Ashwatthama was born with this extraordinary jewel that gave him the power that protected him from hunger, thirst and fears, and it also gave him a lot of power. So Ashwatthama was he was considered as one of the frontier warriors because of this jewel and the power that this jewel got him. Now, his jewel was removed, and by doing this, Arjuna displayed that he was taking away all the strength, so he was punished adequately for the infanticide, because taking away his power and Ashwatthama was so, all his life, he lived with this situation where he had no fear, no hunger and no thirst. To have all these things back was a big change in his life. So that was a big punishment from his personal perspective. So he was punished, but at the same time, he was not killed. So Arjuna, by this, he fulfilled the words of Draupadi and also fulfilled the contradictory statements of the scriptures. So now Ashwatthama, having lost his bodily luster, he lost that because of the sin, the biggest sin that he committed. So even in the energy fields, there is, we talk about aura. Aura are the tejas that a person has. comes from the sattvic qualities we follow. So when somebody is in sattva guna, we see that that person has a lot of virtues, and that virtues bring a lot of aura, and that brings a lot of power. Now, he lost his bodily luster, and we can see that people, when a person goes through Rajoguna, mode of passion, that luster is decreased. And more with Tamoguna, the demoniac qualities, we see that that's even further lost. So, the more Sattva-guna we cultivate, the more virtues we get, the more will be the aura for us. So, the aura also gives us the ability and power to sustain life in Sattva-guna. It also gives us a lot of subtle powers. That is what we used to see in the olden times, where they used to display these supernatural powers. They all came from their aura. So now, because of this highest sin that he committed of infanticide, he lost that aura, and now he lost more of it, because now he is prone for hunger, thirst, and he lost all the extraordinary powers he was given from birth. So he lost his strength. So from there, he was unbound and driven out of the camp. So we see also that was the first thing, how Arjuna was able to manage these contradictory situations. Now, what do we take home from this? On a day-to-day basis, in our routine life, we see contradictory situations. We have challenging situations. So how do we navigate that? At the same time, keep up with the guidance given by the scriptures is what we need to learn from this. So this is done by sharpening our intelligence. So sharpening our intelligence is the essence of Krishna consciousness. Aligning our intelligence, so we have the subtle body, false ego, mind and intelligence. Our mind is always a servant of Maya. Our mind keeps directing us to things that will take us away from Krishna consciousness or bhakti. So intelligence on the other side is when we align. This intelligence can be, that is the faculty in our body which guides us, and if we can align it with the supreme intelligence, then we are able to make the right decisions of our life. So whenever we have a situation, a dilemma, perplexity, what we need to understand is to sharpen our intelligence. How do we do that? It's following 4 principles: ABCD, association of devotees, and reading Prabhupada's books, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, chanting Shuddhanama or attempting to chant Shuddhanama, and by diet. And the last thing, not the least, but the most powerful would be the service. So these are the 5 aspects, and more so, also avoid and refraining from committing aparadhas. These are the ways how we can sharpen our intelligence. On a day-to-day basis, if we dedicate our time, if we dedicate our life to these things as the highest priority, then naturally our intelligence will sharpen. And when our intelligence sharpens, no matter how dubious the situations are, no matter how much perplexity we will have, we will be able to navigate those situations in the right way, in Krishna consciousness, without committing mistakes, but at the same time balancing everything to make the most out of this life. So so the whole movement of Krishna consciousness has been in here to guide us through this, and all of us have been so fortunate to be into this movement that we have discovered the highest jewel of this creation that's not available to even the highest living beings, even in the higher planets. The living beings in the higher planets, they look forward to something like this that we have gotten. It is such a rare jewel that we have received. So how do we follow these instructions, and how do we make use of this is what lies in our hands. The more association we take from the devotees, the more we follow the instructions of the acharyas, we will be able to follow this. The more we are able to follow this sadhana and service and keep the sadhu sangha, our intelligence will get sharpened, the more intelligence we sharpen, then we will be able to make the right decisions, and we will be able to make the most out of this human life. And at the end of this, on a day-to-day basis, we all have to live our material lives. We may have many different roles. The details don't matter. It's the, somebody may be doing, everybody has their own. We all have come with different karmas, different baggages, and we may be in certain roles in today's life, but those details are not important. What is more important is how can we prioritize this life over whatever we are doing? How do we bring the time, the mind, and the energy to do this? And that's going to be possible only by following the principles that Prabhupada has given. Prabhupada has put together in the timeline of Vedic knowledge, lot of acharyas have come to bring the souls closer to God in different levels. But what Prabhupada has given to us is something extreme, and that's not heard of in this creation of giving Krishna Bhakti, of following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult, which gave away Krishna Bhakti, which was the greatest jewel Krishna had hidden in his jewel box. It was not available to anybody. If we can go back to all the acharyas and sampradayas and see, we see that lot of different yogas have been taught, lot of different ways to go close to God have been taught. But this highest form of Krishna, Radha Krishna Bhakti, which is Vraja Bhakti, it was never given to mankind like now. And we are so fortunate that we are given this opportunity in this most fallen age of Kali Yuga, where there is so much of difficulties. Even to be in Rajoguna, it's so hard. The default we all are born is in Tamoguna, or the mode of ignorance, and from there we are being pushed to beyond Sattvaguna, which is in Krishna consciousness, and we have the opportunity to utilize the greatest jewel of this creation could have ever seen, that is Radha Krishna Bhakti, Vraja Bhakti of Krishna Prema, which is not available even to the highest demigods. So one could occupy the position of Brahma, where we can even attain the Brahmaloka by doing virtues, by being in Sattvaguna. But Krishna Prema is not something available. We are asking to enter the abode of the highest supreme creator. We are asking, we cannot enter the home of the president of the country without, even with all types of connections we might have. But we are seeking to enter the abode of the supreme creator in the topmost planet. So our desire is not small. And we got this desire by the mercy of Acharyas, Vaishnavas and Srila Prabhupada. So when we follow the instructions that were given in the appropriate way, with faith and with discipline and with loyalty, then we will be given the power to stay in Krishna consciousness and follow these instructions in the right way. Eventually it is going to sharpen our intelligence, and we will be able to, make the most out of this life, and at the end of this lifetime we will be able to attain the highest supreme abode of Golok Vrindavan as the eternal servants of Sri Radha and Krishna. So we, by reading this Shrimadbhagavatam, we have the opportunity to make the most, and every single day every day we utilize these opportunities. We are cleansing ourselves of all the anarthas we have collected from billions of lifetimes, and cleansing and forget the four, attaining dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which are considered as the highest principles of Vedic scriptures. We are going to be going beyond that in entering Krishna Loka as the eternal servitors of Sri Radha and Krishna, which is the highest thing that anybody, even demigods, can ask for. So please forgive any mistakes, any offenses, anything that I have committed. This was totally unprepared. I really very grateful for the opportunity. And any comments, questions, and corrections, please.
Thank you, Mataji.